Welcome back to our 2D tower defense tutorial, and this is episode 7. In this episode, we'll be creating a code that will select the tower and also create upgrades for the towers. Let's start by creating a script named Tower Upgrades. This script will be the one handling the upgrades for the towers. Since the towers has 3 stats, which are the range, damage, and fire rate, those variables have different data types. To handle all that, we will be creating a class named Level, and it will contain all the tower stats, variables, on public. Next, we set the level class as a system serializable so that we can access it in the inspector. Then we create an array of the level class and name it levels with the default length at 3. After that, we'll be requiring the object towers class and also the tower range. So let's add them. Now let's create an awake function. Inside, we set tower to the object's tower component. Now let's create a public function called upgrade. Then create an if statement inside. We forgot to add another variable. Create a non-serialized public int variable named current level. Set it to 0 by default. Back to the upgrade function, let's set the condition to make a function only occur if the current level is less than the length of levels. This basically limits the tower's upgrades to 3 times. Inside, let's set the tower stats to the stats of levels with the current level as the index. This first line sets the tower's range to the level's range. Now let's do the same for the rest. Since the range has to also be updated visually, we will call the update range function of the range. We increment the current level by 1 and use the debug log to tell us if it's working or not. Now return to Unity. Then give the towers the tower upgrade script, then reference its respective range to the tower range slot. Next is we set the stats for each upgrade to your liking. Now that the tower upgrades are set, we can't actually use the script since we have to find a way to select the tower individually. To do that, let's go to the tower manager script. We add more variables to it. But first, we have to declare a game object named selected tower. This will be holding the current tower selected. Then we declare a layer mask named tower layer, which we will be using later. Now let's add a new if statement in the update function and set the condition if we press the left click. Inside, we will have to use a raycast from the cursor to the game. So let's recreate a raycast hit 2D named hit with the value from the physics 2D raycast. And the parameters being the mouse, position 2, 0, vector 2, 0, 100F as the distance, then the tower layer. With the tower layer, it will make the raycast to only hit the objects within the tower layer. Then, after that, let's make an if statement to check if it collides with something. Then, set the selected tower to the game object that the raycast hits. To sum this code up, if you left-click with the raycast from the cursor to the game, then if it's something in the tower layer, it'll set the selected tower to the game object of the one that was hit. Let's move on. Add another if statement outside. This will call the upgrade function of the selected tower. Now that that's done, let's go back to Unity. Head over to the inspector and create a new layer called Tower. Then in the Game Manager, let's set the tower layer to Tower. Let me put some towers here. I'm going to select the sniper tower. Then, if you press U, you'll see that the range is updating and also logging that it's upgraded. Each tower is selected and the ranges are all over the place. They're overlapping with one another. To fix that, return to the Tower Manager. Then, look for the if statement of checking the hit collision. Let's create another if statement that triggers if there's a selected tower. Inside, declare a game object named range. Then set the value to selected tower's child object. Since the range is the second child of the tower, we'll set parameters of getChild to 1. Then, we disable the range 1 sprite renderer component. Outside of that, we will copy the 2 lines we did earlier, then enable the sprite renderer instead of disabling it. Since it's done, let's go test it. We can see that we have a visual cue on which towers we're selecting. Slight problem though. The range sprite is on by default on placement. Let's go to the tower placement script, then in the part where we place the tower, let's set the range sprite renderer to false. Go back to Unity. As you can see, it is now actually working. Now we can select and upgrade the towers. On the next and the last, finally, we will be creating the UI, health, and economy of the game. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you there soon.